Alright, now let's slide into the deck profile here. Now, for the extra deck, I mean, this is basically, I bought the 3 boxes, that's it, 3 boxes. So, obviously, 3 and 3, you got the big boss monster, which once he hits the field, all hell breaks loose. Got 3 guide cards. Must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards you control, which is the 3 guide cards. You do not use polymerization. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Gains 10,000 attack during your turn only. 10,000 attack. That is a boss and a half. And he's a fusion monster. So this card works with him. There you go. Okay, we got 2 Uriahs, 2 Hammonds, 2 Raviels, and then 1 Shimmering Scraper Raviel. And then pretty much how this goes is you got the Dark Beckoning, you got the Dark Summoning, and then you got Chaos Summoning. When this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel, or 1 card that specifically lists any of those cards in the text from your deck to your hand, except this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 fiend monster with 0 attack and defense in addition to your normal summon. Damn, this card is good. Definitely running 3 of those. Dark Summoning Beast. You contribute this card special summon Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions once again. Damn. Where was I? Also, monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of this turn. So what? I mean, it's got God cards out there, basically. Sacred Beasts, whatever you want to call them. You can only use this effect once per turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add 1 of the God cards from the deck to your hand. Once again, I gotta say, damn, this is a good card. Chaos Summoning Beast. You contribute this card, special summon 1 of the God cards from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. See? Banish this, put that, banish or toss that, done. There you go. Well, you banish this, then banish that. God card comes to your hand, banish this, God card goes on the field. I keep saying God, but I mean, realistically, they're modeled after the God cards, so what do you expect? Oh, I didn't even see it. Add 1 Fallen Paradise from your deck to your hand when you do that. And we're going to get to that card soon enough. Alright, so Raiden. I'm running 3 Raidens because I enjoy this. You can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field in attack position by attributing 1 monster they control. So, I mean, it's basically like, I believe Nibiru kind of does that, doesn't he? And you just summon over to your opponent's field using their monster. If your opponent controls a kaiju monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position. So, I mean, it's the only kaiju I'm running, but, I mean, you got them in your hand, you can put them on their field and then special summon right out to your field. And then, if you got 1 of the cards that bring all the monsters that are yours back to your side of the field, that also helps greatly. Chaos Core. When either player activates a card or effect that targets this card, or when your opponent's monster targets for an attack, quick effect, you can send up to 1 of each of the Sacred Beasts from your hand or your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, place 1 Phantasm counter on this card for each card sent to the graveyard. And if you place at least 1, you can take no battle damage this turn. You can only use this effect once. Once per turn. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove a Phantasm counter instead. 3 of them, because they're good. Then 2 of these will round out the monsters. Phantom of Chaos. Your opponent takes no battle damage from attacks involving this card. Once per turn, you can target 1 effect monster in the graveyard, banish that target, and if you do, until the end phase, this card's name and original attack become that monster's name and attack. And replace this effect with that monster's effect. So this card basically becomes any card from your graveyard. Cerulean Skyfire, continuous spell. Special summon Hammond using its own procedure. You can also use face down spells. Once per turn while you control and attack Hammond, you can negate any spell or trap activated by your opponent. Then change the Hammond you control to defense mode. If a face-up Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel you control leaves the field, you take no damage that turn. 1 for 1, we all know. Send one monster from your hand. Special summon one level 1 from your hand or deck. That's a beautiful card. Mound of the Bound Creator. Level 10 or higher monsters on the field cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. If a level 10 or higher monster destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, the player who controlled the destroyed monster takes 1,000 damage. When this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one divine monster from your deck to your hand. Terraforming for the Fallen Paradise. I like running like 2 and then 1. That way if I come across this card, I can just, get one of these. Whereas if there were 3 Fallens in here, well then you pull another Fallen, you pull another Fallen. At least if you pull this, you can get rid of that and pull this out of the deck. It just makes sense. Alright, your opponent cannot target Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel, or Armatile. Oh snap, that's our guy right here. Can't even target him. Let's see, Armatile in your monster zones with card effects. Also, those monsters cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while you control them. If you control Uriah, Hammond, Raviel, or Armatile in your monster zone, you can draw 2 cards. You can only use the effect once per turn. You get to draw 2 cards every frickin' turn. God dang this deck, man. Pot of Desires. Who doesn't like to banish 10 cards and, draw 2? Come on now. Opening the Spirit Gates. Oh, holy Christmas. When this card is activated, add 1 Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel, or 1 monster that specifically lists any of those cards in its text from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card, special summon 1 fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your graveyard. Once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add 1 continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. You can only activate 1 per turn. I love that card. Dimension Fusion Destruction. Banish from your hand, field, or graveyard the fusion materials that are listed on a Phantasm fusion monster. Then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck. Ignoring its summoning conditions. You take no battle damage from attacks involving the Lord of Searing Flames Hammond, Lord of Striking Thunder, or Lord of Phantasms. None of them. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. There ain't no stopping it. He's coming out. 2 Typhoons. 2 set rotations. Set 2 field spells with different names from your deck on the field. 1 on your side, 1 on your opponent's side. While either of those cards remains set on the field, neither player can activate or set other field spells. What was my other field spell? Now I gotta go back. 2 special summon Uriah using its own procedure. You can also use face down traps, just like the opposite of the other card with the Maddox. Once per battle, when an attack is declared involving your Uriah, you can send 1 trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Its attack and defense become the number of face-up traps on the field and in the graveyard. Oh, the graveyards times 1,000. Wow. For the rest of this turn, once per turn, you can discard 1 card and add to your hand or special summon 1 Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel from your graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. I should probably be running 3 of these, but traps, they're a little bit more difficult when it comes to just trying to get a game going fast. I mean, 1-2 turns half the time still. What are you going to do? Target 1 of your banished dark monsters, special summon that target. When this card leaves the field, destroy the target. So basically called by the grave. Not called by the grave. What am I thinking of? Oh, I blanked out. It's not called by the grave. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them. So, I mean, this is kind of something you want to do once your field is already lit. You just throw that out there. Imperial cost. Face-up continuous traps cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect except Imperial cost. You can only control one of these, so it's protection. And lastly, Awakening the Sacred Beasts. This card gains these effects based on the number of Uriah Hammond or Raviel with different names you control. Now, if you got 1, each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you gain life points to that monster's attack. If you got 2, negate the activation of effects of monsters your opponent controls. And if you got 3, any monsters sent to your opponent's graveyard are banished instead. Once per turn, you can control a level 10 monster. If you control a level 10 monster, you can add 1 continuous spell. Wait a minute. Once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add 1 continuous trap from your graveyard to your hand. So, I mean, the Sacred Beasts. I mean, holy Christmas. This deck is just bonkers. Realistically, it's bonkers. I mean, come on now. Mound of the Bound. That is the second field spell. Okay, that makes sense. Level 10 monsters can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So you get to put that on their field. You put the Fallen Paradise on your field. They're just screwed. They're screwed. They can't even stop it. Alright. That is my deck profile of the Sacred Beasts. Just what they give you in the boxes. But, I mean, I could always put something extra in there. Now I can. So, with that, I'm going to end my turn.